Okay, so the last video is kind of rushed, so I just want to go over a few things again about Chapter 6. And so margin of safety in dollars, total sales minus break-even sales. So if we go up, to get our break-even sales, we would do, using the formula method, we would do our fixed expenses divided by contribution margin ratio. So we actually can do this example, the one that I had previously. So this one right here. So we would do our fixed expenses, the 84,000 divided by our contribution margin ratio. So as you can see, we need 700,000 in sales in order to break even. So if this is 12%, then 100% minus equals 100% minus 12%, that would be 88%. Because this one times it by 88%. So if we just do this whole formula again, we can see that our break-even sales, right? We broke even. And then what's the definition of breaking even? That means our fixed expenses equals our contribution margin. So all of our expenses are covered. We broke even. Just make sure you know that definition. And so these are our break-even sales. So what is our margin of safety? It's our actual sales minus our break-even sales amount. So our margin of safety is the 38,000. So I want to do a different problem just to illustrate the same thing again. So a company makes a single product that it sells for $16 per unit. $16 per unit. And fixed costs are 76,800. Fixed expenses, 76,800. And then the contribution margin is 40%. And the company's actual sales are $224,000. So we will find our contribution margin, total amount. We'll just times the sales by the contribution margin ratio, and then plug in our variable expenses. So we know that our net operating income is contribution margin minus fixed expenses equals 12,800. And so from here, our margin of safety, we need to find our break-even sales. So we will take our fixed expenses divided by our contribution margin ratio. So we need to have sales of 192,000. So our margin of safety is our actual sales minus our break-even sales. Margin of safety will be 32,000. And if we wanted to do a percentage of the margin of safety, we would take our margin of safety divided by our actual sales. So we would take our margin of safety divided by our actual sales. So over here, our margin of safety is really small. It's 0.05%, and over here it'll be 0.14%. And so you can just see which company is going to be more vulnerable to, what does it say? Margin of safety. It says more vulnerable company is to downturn in sales. So the one with 5% is more vulnerable. And then degree of operating leverage is our contribution margin divided by net operating income. So you could just do contribution margin divided by net operating income, things like that. So we have a degree of operating leverage of 7 on this bottom one. Okay, so now moving on to Chapter 7, understand and be able to, let me just review if we've covered everything in Chapter 6. So you know the contribution margin format, to break even, right? So to break even, our fixed expenses equal to contribution margin. So if you want a desired profit, you would take your fixed expenses plus your desired profit, and you would divide it by our contribution margin ratio in order to get the sales dollars amount that you would need to break even, or not to break even, to get your desired profit. And then you would, for the units, you would do the contribution margin per unit in order to get the sales units in order to make that profit. Yep, so we covered that. We know how to find the ratio, find our variable expenses by plugging it in. And then there's also questions on the exam that talk about if you increase The variable expenses, or like the selling expenses, you would be able to sell more units. And so you would just do this basic, you would lay out this basic format, and then you would do the new proposed income statement. So say you sold, a specific amount more units, you would times that by the amount you make per unit, and to get a new sales amount, but you'd also increase the variable expenses or the fixed expenses, and then you would just compare the net operating income between the two scenarios, So there's questions like that. Yeah. And the degree of operating leverage definition and how that will increase your net operating income as sales increases. And I think you should be good for Chapter 6. So Chapter 7, understand and prepare the major elements of a master budget. I'll probably just finish this video and start a new video for Chapter 7.